Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Rob Races and Works on FG1 Civics. Today's episode is going to be the last episode we have on the FG1 flip car. We have a few small repairs slash cosmetic issues to deal with, and then it'll be off to inspection and off to a new owner. As you can see, it's got a new windshield in it now. I just got it back from the glass shop yesterday and it's looking pretty nice. As far as the cosmetic things that need done, I need to remove the tint on the driver's side and passenger side windows. It will not pass inspection with them tinted. The final cosmetic thing I need to do is paint the underside of the hood. It's still in primer, as you can see. I'm not going to clear coat it, it's just the underside. I just want to give it a coat of white so that it matches the rest of the car, and then we can put our insulation and our rubber seals back on. As far as mechanical issues to finish with the car, we've got the oil leak to deal with. So I have talked to a few friends with K-Series engines, which are similar construction to the R-Series engine. And they said that Honda Bond is really good and you can usually seal those little block weeps from the outside of the seam. So am currently cleaning the block with brake clean. It's a hard area to show down there with the camera, so maybe I'll just show you guys a picture here of what we're looking at. But I've cleaned all the surface. I drained the oil out of the car yesterday actually, and I've left oil out of it. I'm going to leave oil out of it for a few days, just so that hopefully the oil will not contaminate the Honda Bond and it'll give it a good amount of time to cure. So I'm just gonna lay a thin layer over that seam, let it set up for a few days, and then we'll add oil and see if we fixed it. On that note, the last mechanical thing I would like to take care of before I sell the car is an oil change. So here, see, I've got an OEM Honda filter and I've got some Castrol, just regular motor oil, 5W30. I already replaced the crush washer on the drain bolt when I drained the old oil out. And that should be everything it needs to pass inspection. The only exception is the driver's seat. It does have that tear in it. So I'm gonna talk to the guy that's inspecting my car and see if he cares or if I can put a seat cover on. I believe it's okay to put a seat cover on to get it passed. So, all right, the leak has been Honda bonded. So I'm gonna do my best to get under there and show you guys the little spot that I Honda bonded. You can kind of see up towards the CV axle there to the left. You can see the cleaner gray spot. That's the Honda Bond. So now we play the waiting game. We'll let it dry and cure for a couple days. I want it to cure really good. And then we'll put oil in it and see if it holds. I also need to clean this little inspection cover for the flywheel. I took that off when I was trying to trace the oil leak. So I'm gonna clean that, throw that back on the car, and then let's attempt to take window tint off. Could be easy, could be awful, don't know. I just replaced that inspection cover on the bottom, and when I was doing that I noticed that the lower coolant hose had like a stream of coolant down it. Not a stream, but like you could see that there had been some drips down it. And I just got to look in here and it's a little festered right around where that hose attaches to the water neck. It looks like just kind of a little bit of corrosion from sitting. Actually, even the upper one has it a little bit too. So I want to take care of that. Should be relatively easy. I think I might just drain the coolant out as to not make a mess, and then I'll pull those two hoses off, clean up both surfaces really good, and then reinstall it with clamps and should be good to go. I'm gonna get to doing that, and I also just remembered something that I want to fix before inspection. LCD display on the stereo seems to be a little inconsistent. It will come on full bright and it'll go full dark, and sometimes you can't even see the clock, it's so dark, and then other times it's totally fine. This is a common issue with 8 gens. I've had a SI do it as well, but I don't think it'll pass inspection like that because it's Wednesday right now. On Friday I'm going to the city for a dentist appointment. I think I might go to the junkyard again, that same junkyard I got these engines from. See if I can't find a good stereo to bring home. There's a few other parts I want there for other projects as well anyways, so it'd be kind of a good way to get two birds stoned. As you can see there with the upper hose off, see all the corrosion on the hose and on the housing there, so that little bit of imperfection between the housing and the hose is what's causing it to leak. Actually, the top one hadn't even leaked yet, it was just the bottom one, but the bottom one is going to look the exact same way, so we'll get in there with some emery cloth or whatever and some brake clean. We'll clean that right off and reinstall it. I think we'll leave the top one off, give us easier access to the bottom one. I haven't popped the bottom one off yet because I'm still waiting for this to drain a little bit more. There you have it, all cleaned up. I'm gonna repeat that process on the bottom one. I'm not gonna film it. It's the same thing. And I'll catch up with you guys in a sec. Bottom one's all clean, and I did a little more cleaning on the top one, so we're good to go. Throw it back together. With the coolant topped off, we're good to go there. I will have to bleed it eventually, but we're gonna wait until the Honda Bond seals and we put oil in the engine in a couple days or whatever. We'll bleed the coolant at the same time. So with that done, let's get on to window tint. All right, we got the tint removed. There's still a few spots. One little spot there, and here in the corners as well. But one interesting thing I discovered when I was doing that, I had to take this little corner mirror trim off, and it's got sound deadener in it. I don't think I've ever seen sound deadener in those before. So I wonder if that's an EX model thing, because I don't think an SI has that. So, kind of a neat little Easter egg. Anyways, I'm gonna whip out the other window off camera. So it'll just be like, whoop, bam, untintified. Took about 37 hours to scrape the windows with a razor blade, but they look pretty good. Give them a quick Windexage. And they look good. Hood is off, and it's already primered, and the label's already masked off. So all I really need to do is give it a cleaning with some rubbing alcohol or some paint thinner I think I have, and then we'll spray it. I could sand it, but it's the underside of the hood. We're not looking for perfection. We're just looking to match the color. So let's get to it. Alright, hood is fully painted. So you'll see it's not very thick in the center areas there, because once I put the hood insulation from that hood onto here, you'll never see that area anyways. So I focused most of it on the outer edges, which will be the visible places. So tried to get a nice thick coat on there, and yeah, should look pretty decent. hopefully be pretty strong. So I'm gonna have to let that dry before we can swap the insulation and rubbers and seals and stuff onto there. So I'll catch up with you guys when we're ready to put the hood back on the car. I guess this is my hint to put my winter tires on. Lovely. Let's see how our hood looks overnight. Yep, still a hood. Yeah, that'll work just dandy fine. It's got more texture than sandpaper, but hey, it's the underside of a hood. Who cares? Let's disassemble that old hood so we can reassemble the less older hood. All right, hood's back on and all the under accessories are hooked up. If the keen viewers noticed in the time lapse, I was missing 2 clips when I installed the insulation. So I went out to the old parts zone there and I took 2 clips off a spare hood. So they're all on there now. The masking around the decals isn't exactly perfect, but what are you gonna do? I would say it looks pretty darn good. We gotta remember it's the underside of a hood, so. It's a Honda, you don't spend much time looking at the bottom of the hood, you look at the top. With that being done, I think that leaves us as our last task is to do the oil change and the radio, but I have not gotten the radio yet. So I'm gonna crawl under this thing, have a look at our Honda bond. It's been about 24 hours. I'm not sure if I want to start it today or if I want to wait another day. So I'm gonna crawl under, have a look, and I'll let you guys know. The Honda bond seems to be cured well, so I'm just gonna go for it. Throw the funnel on for the coolant and let this thing warm up. Let that gurgle away for a little while, let it heat up, let the coolant bleed. We'll check on the oil, and I've got to dig my winter tires out, which are there in the back corner, and stick them on that, because apparently it's time. Well, fellas, I got good news and I got bad news. I'll give you the good news first. Our little fix up by cleaning the snouts for the radiator hoses. That worked. No longer a dribble. Bad news. The Honda Bond did not hold the oil leak. Well, I probably let it sit here and run for, I'd bet at least half an hour, because I was changing the tires on the other car and blah, blah, blah. It was running for a minimum of half an hour. And I shut it off, I got under it, and there's probably 2 or 3 drops of oil worth, so she's still leaking, sadly. Okay, I just got back from taking this thing for like a little test drive. I wanted to get an accurate representation of how much oil it's leaking. So I drove around for probably an hour. Went and got some food too, as you can see. I probably put 70 kilometers on it. Or 50 miles. It's not leaking as bad as it was. There isn't like drips hanging off the pan anymore. There's definitely a little evidence that there's a little bit of oil there, but I'm almost wondering if some of it is residual. Although it does look like clean oil, so maybe not. But let me just get in there and show you. So as you can see here, there's a bit of an oil wet spot right there. And a little bit right there. So normally when you come under here, this would all be caked in oil and there'd be like a little globlet ready to hang off and drip. But that's not even enough to drip. It's just enough to get a little on my finger. So that's definitely better than it was. I would consider that a weep now instead of a leak. But yeah. I don't know, I might clean it off one more time and even try sealing it again a little more where I think it might be leaking, and then maybe we can actually get it to stop. I don't know. It's actually a positive though. So, anywho, I'm gonna eat my food. I'll catch up with you guys when something interesting happens. It's the next day and I'm back from the junkyard. It's ugly and rainy out. But I gotta go unload the parts out of the 9th gen. We were successful in finding a stereo, and I also found a few other bits I'll show you guys for another project. Well, for Project Allen, the other silver FG2. And then I even got a part for the future project, but I'm not gonna show you guys that. Okay, here we have it. So this is the CD player / climate control I ended up with. There was probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 8th gens there, and only 2 of them had the radio. And the reason I took this one was I was actually able to find the radio code in the glove box, so I took a picture of the radio code, so hopefully we can just plug and play directly with that. Now for Project Allen, the silver FG2, it does need an inner fender. So I snagged up an inner fender off a coupe that was there. It doesn't have the little lip thing here like the SIs normally do, but not a big deal. And then I found a set of OEM rear splash guards. I was pretty excited about those. Those might not seem like a super sexy item, but I was stoked to find those. I love OEM mud flaps. And the rears on these things are always hard to find. This car coincidentally does have them, but most of them don't. They just have that little filler panel. Okay, the other neat thing I found was a CSX center console tray. So it has a sliding top versus just open top, and it's a bit different shape. So yeah, I was kind of stoked to find that. Kind of a rare, unique part. Let's get this radio installed and see if it flickers or not. Here's to hoping it doesn't. Very slight oversight on my part. Forgot that the EX is the premium audio, like an SI, and I don't think I got a premium audio head unit. So, I don't know if it's gonna work. It didn't work. So, it does boot up, but the code, that was in the dash of the other car doesn't work. And I didn't get the VIN number, so I can't call Honda. And that car is 2 hours away from me. So this appears to have been a large waste of time. So that leaves me with this stereo. There's nothing I can really do. This light, I think, and this light were both burnt out though, so while it's out, I'm gonna rob the lights out of that one so that we have full lightage. And then I think if I go back within 30 days, I can get an in-store credit of this, which was 40 bucks. So I can spend 40 bucks in the junkyard on other stuff. It's not the end of the world, but disappointing that it didn't work. Hey, they all work. That was annoying. Those little bulbs are very, very finicky, which is why you'll see in the time lapse I had the meter out testing them. Even sometimes when they test okay, if you put them in, even them dropping in the hole or whatever, they filament is so tiny and brittle, it breaks. So that's how many bulbs I went through to get 2 that weren't working. I had to go dig out this old SI audio from the rally car, which I considered using because it's premium audio, but I don't have the number for that one either, and the display is mega scratched. Plus it would be red and wouldn't match, so yeah. Anywho's, got all the lights functioning in the dash now, so that's a win at least. The display on the stereo, sometimes it works great, other times it doesn't. Let's hope when it gets inspected it works great. The other thing I want to do quick is I added a little more Honda Bond to the area that it's been weeping. So I would like to start it and run it and get it hot again and see if that's improved at all. Because the last time it definitely did improve it, and I want to see if that little touch-up I did improved it that much or even stopped it maybe. Okay guys, I got some good news and some bad news. Good news is I've had the car running here for about a half an hour and the oil leak is not oil leaking. Seems to have been fixed. So let's see here. Kind of right by that bolt beside the exhaust, that's usually where it all accumulates, and there's nothing, it's totally dry. So that's good. That extra Honda Bond in the spot where I thought it was leaking seems to have fixed it, which is a total win. We got not so good news though. I got my girlfriend to come out and help me do a light check on the car because I don't want it to fail for something simple like that. And every single light in the car works except the third brake light. So I'm like, okay, whatever, no big deal. I'll switch out the third brake light. Well, I start looking in the trunk. Normally you would get access to it right there. Well, I couldn't see nothing. So start looking and it looks like you have to pull the whole rear deck lid out, which you do. So okay, not the end of the world. Hold the rear deck lid out. You can see right here. Okay, and then to get third brake light out, you got to take this trim ring off with all these little screws, and then you get access to your third brake light. Okay, cool. Now I'll just change the bulb in the third brake light. Nope. It's an all-in-one housing. Can't change the bulb. You got to buy that entire housing. with discount at my local parts store. That housing is 120 bucks. Ah, what a ripoff that is. But I look everywhere else, it's just as expensive, so what are you gonna do? It's just one of those things. Why, Honda, why? Why you do this to me? So it won't be until Tuesday is the other thing. It's currently Saturday. I was taking the car into the shop to be inspected Monday. However, the inspector guy probably wouldn't be there Monday anyways, but I'm gonna have to call him, let him know that the car won't be there till Tuesday. So Tuesday morning, I will run to the parts store, which is half hour from me. I will get the new housing, install it, and then I'll take the car to the inspection facility, and we'll get it inspected. And I think that's all I have to show you guys. Got the oil leak dealt with. We're gonna fix the third brake light issue. We weren't really successful with the stereo. We got the lights for the climate control to work, but we weren't successful with the display on the stereo, which is annoying, but it is what it is. So, yeah. Barring the third brake light, it's ready for inspection. So I will see you guys next week once it passes and or fails inspection, and I'll let you guys know. Alrighty guys, it's been about 2 weeks or so since you guys last seen me in that other clip there. I went and dropped the car off to get it inspected. It probably, I don't know, it must have been at the shop for a week and a half. The guy didn't really have time to look at it, but when he did, it passed with flying colors. So I've been driving it now for, I don't know, today's Sunday. I want to say I got it back on Tuesday. So I've been driving it for like 5 days or so. Put maybe 250 kilometers on it. And so far so good. It's been decent, no problems at all. When the mechanic actually went to inspect it, the battery was dead, so he said he had to jump start it. And this car used to have a remote start system in it, and the boxes and stuff were still under the dash for the remote start. So I just unhooked all of that because I think it had like indicating lights and sensors and stuff in it that were probably just slowly draining the battery if you were driving the car every day. So I ditched that stuff and it seems great. I've started it on cold mornings, no problem. Flashes right up. And yeah. The only finicky issue I'm still having, which I think I showed you guys in the last video or this video, is the radio display. Kind of has a mind of its own. It actually is working right now, but it tends to not always. It goes dim. It's like full dim to the point where you can't even really read it, or it's like full bright where what it should be. So I don't know, it bounces around. Heater works good, brakes work nice, drives down the road nice, everything's great. I'm happy with it. The oil leak turned out to not be 100% fixed. After driving it for a bit, I've noticed a couple of drips on the bottom of the oil pan. It's very minor, it's like a weep. My buddy's actually coming to look at the car tomorrow, so I'll let him know that. I kind of estimated how much it leaks, and I would think over the course of an oil change, which would be 7,000 or 8,000 kilometers, you might leak 100 mils of oil. So a tenth of a liter over the course of an oil change is pretty minor. I think he's just planning to kind of use it as a winter beater anyway, so I don't think he'll really care. But yeah, that's going to be a wrap on this series, guys. I hope you enjoyed the FG1 build. It was a pretty fun little project, cool to save it, and hopefully it's going to a good home. Like I said, my buddy's going to look at it tomorrow, so I will let you guys know at the end of this video whether or not it sells. So thanks for watching, and consider subscribing because the next build on the channel is the budget silver FG2, and I've actually been working like crazy away on that car. I've been putting in lots of days on it, got some videos coming up, so catch you guys in the next one. Have a good one. Peace out.